So you've already agreed to sell the land? My mother-in-law says it casually, almost cheerfully, like she's commenting on the weather. It's not a question. It's a statement. A done deal being announced to the room. My husband answers before I can breathe. We decided it was best, he says smoothly. His tone is calm, certain, like he's simply confirming something we discussed at length over coffee that morning. Except we didn't. We never discussed it at all. Every eye in the room turns to me. His mother. His brother. His aunt sitting by the window with her tea. They're waiting. Not for confirmation. For politeness. For me to smile and nod and play along. I open my mouth, but nothing comes out. The silence stretches for 3 seconds. Maybe 4. Then his mother moves on, talking about timelines and buyers and how relieved she is that we're being reasonable. And in that silence, something irreversible happens. My lack of words becomes his evidence. I realize with cold, creeping clarity that he isn't guessing what I think. He's replacing it. The anger doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't crash over me in waves or make me want to scream. It settles. Heavy. Quiet. Permanent. I feel it when I understand that my silence has just been used as legal cover. Not disagreement. Not hesitation. Consent. Because I didn't object. Because I didn't correct him in front of his family. Because I stayed quiet, and quiet, in his world, means yes. I sit through the rest of the conversation, nodding occasionally, sipping water I don't taste. When the meeting finally ends and everyone filters out, I stand in the hallway, replaying the moment. The certainty in his voice. The way he didn't glance at me, didn't check, didn't pause. And I realize something that makes my chest tighten. This wasn't spontaneous. It wasn't a slip. It was rehearsed. He knew exactly what he was going to say. He knew I'd be sitting there. And he knew I wouldn't contradict him publicly. That's when the anger transforms into something sharper. Something I can use. After the meeting ends, after his family leaves and the house goes quiet, I sit alone in the kitchen. And for the first time in hours, I introduce myself. To the truth. My name is Vanessa Cole. I'd been married to Ian for 6 years. We own property together. A small piece of land his grandfather left him, with both our names on the deed. Land I was just told we're selling. Land I never agreed to sell. I stare at my hands, and I realize something that should have been obvious long ago. I wasn't invited to decide because I was never meant to. The decision was made without me. The announcement was just theater. A performance designed to make it look mutual. And my silence was the signature he needed. I think back, trying to remember when this started. When did I stop being consulted and start being reported? And then it hits me. This isn't the first time he's spoken for me. It's just the first time it was public enough that I couldn't ignore it. I remember an earlier meeting. Smaller. Easier to dismiss at the time. It was about refinancing the house. Ian's brother was there, along with a financial advisor his family uses. The advisor asked a question about our long-term plans. Ian answered. "We're planning to downsize in a few years," he said confidently. I'd looked up, surprised. We'd never talked about downsizing. But the meeting moved on quickly, and I didn't interrupt. I told myself we'd discuss it later. We never did. The decision was framed as already settled, already mutual, already ours. I'd stayed quiet then, too. Assuming conversation would follow. Assuming he'd check in with me privately. It never happened. And now, sitting in the kitchen, I start seeing how often my absence was filled with his voice. How many decisions were made in rooms I wasn't in. How many plans were announced as joint when I'd never been asked. The memory shifts from isolated incident to clear pattern. And patterns don't lie. The memories line up neatly once I stop excusing them. Financial choices. Where we'd vacation. How we'd handle his mother's medical expenses. What we'd contribute to his brother's business. Each one presented as mutual. Each one decided without me. I'd assumed he was just confident. Efficient. Someone who thought ahead and took initiative. Now I see it differently. He wasn't taking initiative. He was taking control. And my silence, my failure to object in the moment, became retroactive agreement. I pull out my phone and start scrolling. Old messages. Old emails. I search for conversations about the land. About refinancing. About any of the decisions he's made on my behalf. There's nothing. No discussion. No debate. Just announcements delivered calmly, as if they were obvious. As if I'd already agreed. I realize something that makes my hands shake slightly. He prepares the room before I enter it. He sets the narrative, controls the language, answers for me before I can speak. And by the time I arrive, the decision is already social fact. I stop explaining myself. I stop correcting him in private, pulling him aside after family dinners to say, we didn't actually agree to that. Because it never changes anything. He apologizes. Says he misunderstood. Says he thought I was on board. Then does it again the next time. So I change tactics. I stop reacting. Instead, I start saving messages. Screenshots of conversations where he announces decisions I was never part of. Dates of meetings I wasn't told about. Language he uses that implies my consent without ever requesting it. I don't tell him what I'm doing. I don't warn him or confront him or ask him to stop. My silence becomes deliberate now. Not passive. Strategic. I'm building a record. Not for revenge. For clarity. Because the next time he speaks for me, I want proof that he's lying. And I want it organized, time-stamped, and undeniable. He mistakes my new restraint for surrender. That's his first mistake. Over the next few weeks, Ian starts summarizing my opinions more freely. At dinner with friends, he explains why we're not planning to have kids. I want to interrupt, to say we've never actually decided that, but I don't. I just watch. At a family gathering, someone asks me directly about the land sale. Ian answers before I can. She's relieved, honestly. It was becoming a burden. I meet his eyes across the table. He smiles. Reassuring. Confident. Completely certain I won't contradict him. And I don't. Not yet. I notice how quickly the room accepts his version. No one checks with me. No one asks follow-up questions. His calm confidence is mistaken for authority. And my composure, my quiet presence, is interpreted as agreement. His version of me is growing louder than I am. More defined. More certain. And the more he speaks, the less space there is for my actual voice. I let it happen. Because I'm waiting. And every time he does it, I add it to the file. I start watching how the system works. Not just Ian. Everyone around him. His mother nods along when he speaks for me. His brother assumes we're aligned because Ian says we are. Even friends accept his summaries without question. I watch how quickly certainty replaces truth. How a calm, confident answer erases the need for verification. How my silence is used as evidence that I agree. And I realize something uncomfortable. The system isn't just him. It's everyone benefiting from his narrative. His mother wants the land sold. His brother wants decisions made quickly. His friends want smooth, uncomplicated social interactions. My actual opinion complicates things. So they don't ask for it. They accept Ian's version because it's easier. Because it keeps things moving. Because challenging him would require effort, discomfort, confrontation. And no one wants that. So I become invisible. Not because I'm quiet. But because my silence is more useful to them than my voice. That realization is what finalizes my decision. I'm done being useful. I organize what I've collected. Not emotionally. Chronologically. I create a document. Clean. Simple. Dates on the left. Events in the middle. Evidence on the right. March 14th, Ian tells his brother we're contributing $5,000 to his startup. No prior discussion with me. March 22nd, Ian announces to his mother that we've decided not to host Thanksgiving this year. I was never asked. April 10th, Ian tells our financial advisor we're comfortable with a higher-risk investment strategy. I disagree. Was not consulted. April 30th, Ian tells his family we've agreed to sell the land. I did not agree. I was not asked. Every time consent was implied without being requested, I document it. I attach screenshots where possible. Messages. Emails. Calendar invites to meetings I wasn't included in. The pattern becomes undeniable when laid flat. This isn't miscommunication. This isn't assumption. This is systematic erasure. And I'm done pretending it's anything else. I don't want a private apology. I don't want Ian to pull me aside later and say he didn't mean it that way, that he thought I understood, that he'll do better. Because he won't. I've heard that script before. It changes nothing. So I wait. I wait for another public decision. Another family gathering. Another moment where he speaks for me in front of people who matter. Another room where his voice replaces mine and everyone nods along. I don't have to wait long. 3 weeks later, his mother hosts Sunday dinner. The whole family is there. Ian's brother. His aunt. His cousin visiting from out of state. And halfway through the meal, his mother brings up the land sale again. She's been talking to a buyer. Someone interested. She wants to move forward soon. She looks at Ian. Have you finalized your side of things? She asks. He smiles. Nods. We're ready, he says. Just waiting on the paperwork. I set my fork down carefully. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. And this time, I'm ready. I don't interrupt. I let him finish. Let him explain how we've thought it through, how we've weighed the options, how we both feel this is the right move. He's calm. Confident. Articulate. His mother smiles, relieved. His brother nods approvingly. And then, when the room settles, when everyone's looking at their plates, ready to move on to the next topic, I speak. For the first time in months, I use my voice in a way that can't be misunderstood. Actually, I say quietly, I was never asked. The room goes still. Ian's smile falters slightly, but he recovers quickly. What? He asks, laughing lightly. Of course we discussed it. I shake my head. No, I say. We didn't. You announced it. But we never discussed it. I never agreed. His mother looks between us, confused. Ian opens his mouth, but I continue before he can redirect. I wasn't at the meeting when this was decided. I wasn't consulted about the buyer. I didn't agree to sell. My name is on that deed, and I haven't signed anything. I don't accuse him. I don't raise my voice. I don't make this about emotion or betrayal or trust. I clarify the record. I pull out my phone and open the document I prepared. I scroll calmly, reading dates aloud. March 14th. You told your brother we'd contribute to his business. I was never asked. April 10th. You told our advisor we wanted a high-risk portfolio. I disagreed. Was not consulted. April 30th. You told your family we agreed to sell the land. I did not agree. I show them the messages. The emails. The lack of discussion. I introduce evidence. Not feelings. Not interpretations. Facts. Silence reframed not as consent, but as absence. I wasn't agreeing by staying quiet. I was simply not given the opportunity to disagree. The room is completely silent now. Ian's mother stares at her plate. His brother shifts uncomfortably. His cousin looks like she wants to leave. And for the first time since I sat down, the room stops looking at me. Their eyes shift to Ian. Slowly. Uncomfortably. Waiting for him to explain. Ian tries. He explains that he thought I understood. That we'd talked about it in passing. That he assumed I was on board because I didn't object. But the certainty is gone from his voice now. He's revising in real time, adjusting his story to fit the gaps I've exposed. His mother asks a question. When exactly did you two discuss this? Ian hesitates. I don't remember the exact date, he says. It was casual. I stay quiet. Let him talk. Let him try to reconstruct a conversation that never happened. His brother asks another question. Did Vanessa say she wanted to sell? Ian stalls. She didn't say she didn't want to, he replies. That's not the same thing, his brother says quietly. And I watch it happen. The shift. The moment his authority begins collapsing in real time. Because authority built on assumed consent can't survive actual questions. And once people start asking, once they stop accepting his version as default truth, the whole structure falls apart. The family sees it. Slowly. Uncomfortably. Not betrayal. Not cruelty. Fabrication. Ian wasn't malicious. He was lazy. He replaced conversation with assumption, collaboration with control, and my silence with his voice. And everyone went along with it because it was easier. But now that the record is clear, now that the gaps are visible, they can't unsee it. His mother suggests they revisit the land sale later. After we've had time to talk, she says carefully. Ian nods, but he won't look at me. The dinner ends early. People leave quietly, avoiding eye contact. And I realize something as I watch them go. The system that protected him, that allowed him to speak for me without question, has turned procedural. They're not angry. They're uncomfortable. And discomfort makes people careful. They'll ask me directly now. They'll check. They'll verify. Because Ian's certainty is no longer enough. And he realizes it too. I see it in the way he sits, silent now, staring at his hands. Silence no longer works in his favor. It works in mine. I don't gloat. I don't make speeches or demand apologies or explain how it felt to be erased in my own marriage. I just reclaim what's mine. I contact a lawyer about the land. Make it clear that any sale requires my explicit, written consent. I review our finances and remove Ian's unilateral access to joint accounts. I set boundaries with his family. If they want to know my opinion, they ask me. Not him. I start making decisions about my future without waiting for his input. Because I've learned something important. My life doesn't need his mediation. It never did. Within 2 weeks, things begin reorganizing themselves. Conversations change. People defer to me on matters that involve me. Ian's voice, once so dominant, becomes just one voice. Not the final one. Not the authoritative one. Just his. And mine becomes mine again. Clear. Present. Undeniable. I didn't need to destroy him to reclaim myself. I just needed to stop letting him speak for me. I leave the marriage 3 months later. Not dramatically. Not with a confrontation or a public scene. I just file the paperwork quietly and move into my own place. Ian tries to talk me out of it. Says we can work on communication. Says he didn't realize how it felt. Says he'll change. But I'm done negotiating for space in my own life. I don't need him to understand. I don't need closure or validation or an apology that rewrites history. I just need out. The divorce is straightforward. Assets divided. No fighting. No drama. Just clarity restored. And when it's finalized, I sit in my new apartment, alone, and feel something I haven't felt in years. Peace. I think about the woman I was in that family meeting. Silent. Erased. Uncertain. And I realize what silence really was. It was never consent. It was preparation. I was gathering proof. Building a record. Waiting for the right moment. And the moment truth entered the room, his authority disappeared. Not with a fight. With facts. And facts, I learned, don't need to be loud. They just need to be undeniable.